Along the endless interstate highway of Florida, the scorching sun always warps the asphalt road. It was the autumn of 1989. A woman in worn denim, with a wild, watchful glint in her eyes, leaned against the rusted guardrail. Her name was Aileen Wuornos. In the months that followed, her name would make glaring headlines across America, tied to 7 lost lives. Tonight, let us sit by the flickering fire and walk into the true story of her life. This is not merely a tale of killing, it is the final outburst of a person stripped of dignity, drowning in despair. She was once a little girl begging for redemption in the downpour, yet forced to pick up a gun in the cruel adult world. For a moment, let us set aside all prejudice and judgment, and touch the hidden tenderness inside the woman labeled a female monster. To understand this story, we must face the unhealed wound in Aileen Wuornos' fate, the wound of being abandoned. In a small roadside bar, when she first met a young girl named Tyria, she thought she had finally found a safe harbor. By then, Aileen had wandered the highways for far too long. She grew used to trading her body for cheap fast food, to falling asleep amid truck drivers' insults. But Tyria's presence gave her the illusion of a home. To protect this fragile bond, Aileen spiraled into madness. This hunger for love became the first push dragging her into the abyss. She craved money, endless money, to fill the endless void inside her. She never realized that when you try to defend love with violence, the love itself begins to rot. Florida's nights are always humid and sweltering. Inside cramped cheap motels, Aileen combed her dry curly hair in front of a cracked mirror. She no longer saw a woman in her reflection, only a worn defender ready to pounce at any moment. She began carrying a .22 caliber handgun. The cold touch of metal became her only sense of safety in this world. To comprehend her broken soul, we must look into Aileen Wuornos' childhood, filled with violence and humiliation. She was born into a chaotic family in Michigan. Her father died by suicide in prison, and her mother abandoned her at a young age, vanishing without a trace. Her grandparents brought her no warmth, only escalating abuse and icy indifference. On bitter winter nights, young Aileen would curl up in a drafty attic, dreaming of parents who could hold her in their arms. This long-term deep emotional deprivation led her to confront the world with self-destructive tendencies from adolescence. She became an unwed mother at only 14, yet the child was soon taken away. The only flesh and blood in her life became just a passing stranger. Endless loss forged a primal defensive instinct in Aileen. If the whole world means to hurt me, I will destroy it first. When she arrived under the blazing Florida sun, her heart was already a desolate frozen wasteland. She knew nothing of normal social connection. She only knew how to survive in transactions, how to gasp for breath under brute force. This logic of the lower class doomed her to pull the fatal trigger in an extreme moment. Now let us return to that fateful highway, to the dusk of November 30th, 1989, the moment that changed everything. Richard Mallory, a seemingly refined client, pulled over right in front of Aileen. According to Aileen's later account, it was a brutal rape and desperate resistance. When she pulled the trigger, she felt no guilt, only a delayed counterattack 30 years in the making. Warm blood splashed across her face. In that instant, it was not Mallory she killed, but the sum of every man who had ever humiliated her. The thrill of revenge acted like a potent poison, quickly numbing her reason. From then on, killing was no longer self-defense, but a shortcut to survive and make a living. She began lingering by the highway for lone traveling men. Every victim who fell became a provider for her and Tyria's little home. Her mental state after each crime was eerily twisted. She would return to the motel with stolen money and valuables, prepare surprises for Tyria, and share dinner like an ordinary housewife. Extreme tenderness and unspeakable cruelty coexisted chillingly within Aileen. She silently witnessed every stopping heartbeat in the dark, while the broken little girl deep inside her still cried out loud, longing to find her way home. The collapse of the truth began with the one and only love she cherished deeply, the betrayal of Tyria. As police launched a statewide manhunt across Florida, Tyria crumbled under pressure and cooperated with authorities. With baiting phone calls, she lured Aileen straight into the trap. On the phone, Tyria wept in fear, yet even then Aileen comforted her, choosing to take all blame upon herself to protect the one she loved. The agony of being betrayed by the only person she trusted cut deeper than the lethal injection on death row. Every roar Aileen let out in court was a question hurled at the world. Why is even my only love nothing but a lie? The trial turned into a cruel circus performance. Media branded her a female monster, yet no one cared about the old scars covering her body and soul. She flipped off the jury in court and mocked justice before the camera. Beneath her rage lay a soul utterly broken, struggling pointlessly for the last time. On October 9, 2002, at Florida State Prison, Aileen refused her last meal. All she asked for was a cup of black coffee. Before the lethal injection, she stared out the small window at the sky she had wandered beneath so many times. In that moment, her expression fell into unexpected calm. It was not remorse, it was the relief of finally being able to stop running after 46 long years. The story fades into quiet along the endless Florida interstate highway. Aileen Wuornos drew her final breath amid cold medical equipment. She took with her the hidden secrets of those highway corners, and the desperate lament of marginalized women of that era. Her life began in the bitter cold nights of Michigan and ended on Florida's death row, filled with forgotten pain and distorted hopes all the way. Tonight, as we speak of the so-called female monster, let us set aside cold case files and bloody news reports. Just remember, there once was a soul named Aileen. She once longed for a warm embrace in the pouring rain. In a life the world chose to forget, she loved someone clumsily yet wholeheartedly. Her barren life stands as a heavy elegy the noisy world leaves for every lonely, marginal soul. The fireplace flame dims, the wind still whispers outside the window. In this quiet moment, let yourself drift off gently with this story of the lonely highway. Good night, Aileen. Good night, every soul wandering in the dark, searching for a way home.